Okay, welcome everyone. I want to continue working with our storms data frame and continue thinking about creating plots in R with that storms data frame. We talked about how we can create a plot, a bar plot for categorical data. Now I want to talk about how we can create plots for quantitative data. The first plot we'll take a look at is a histogram. And so if you're just starting with this video, we've done some work in this Colab notebook up to this point that you'll want to catch up on. So there's a link to this notebook in the description of this video. You want to learn, load the dplyr package, and we've converted a couple of variables in the storms data frame to integers. A couple of them we converted to factors. So in order to catch up to where we are at, um, down here, we're in the section on displaying one quantitative variable, histograms. If you click on the question mark histogram code cell and you go to runtime, run before, this is going to run all of the code cells prior to the histogram one. This will catch you up with where you're at. It's going to open up a couple of help commands. We don't want those. So you can close these sidebar down. And now you're up to speed and ready to start working with some histograms. So you should be familiar with how to read histograms from your previous statistics course. So I won't get into the details of that here. The point in this video is how we can create a histogram in R using base R. So there are other ways to create histograms using other packages that we will talk about shortly as well. In base R, the function for creating histogram is hist. So if you run question mark hist, it will open up the help documentation and you can see all of the various options that you can use. Most of these you probably will never use. Some of them you will use. So one numeric variable in the storms data frame is the wind variable, which tells us about the wind speed of the storm in knots. And so again, if we want to refer to all of the data in the wind speed column, we would enter the name of the data frame, which is storms, followed by a $sign, and then the name of the variable, which is wind. The breaks option, so first thing is the most basic histogram we could create would just be hist storms wind. And that creates a histogram that looks like this, where you can see here the axes are not ideal. The labels are not very clear. The color maybe is not your favorite color, whatever, but this is a totally reasonable histogram for this data. By adding some of these other features to the graph, maybe we can clean it up. So I'll run this code cell and this creates a pretty similar looking graph. We've just added some labels that clarify what's being plotted on the axes. We've maybe cleaned up the scale and the tick marks on the axes, and I changed the color. So the breaks, this is indicating how many, we can have some control over how many bins we choose for the histogram. I'll just say this option is a little finicky, so sometimes it works well, sometimes not exactly how you might want it to work, but by choosing different values here, I'll choose like 3. You can set different breaks for it. So I chose 3 here. It gave me 4 bins over here because I have 1, 2, 3 different breaks. I can choose 4 for my breaks. And now I've got 1, 2, 3. It still have the same number of breaks. So by changing this value, I'll just say it's going to change the number of bins that you have. Maybe not exactly the number that you want, but you have some control over how many bins you have. by changing that feature, by changing that option in the histogram. This is the label on the x-axis. Um, this is setting the window for the x-axis. So this was a really maybe not ideal window going from 50 to 150. Instead, I set it going from 0 to 200, and that was a little bit better. This sets the label on the y-axis. This sets the limits on the y-axis to go from 0 to 5,000. So you have some control over how you customize lots of features of your plot. This is the main label up top for my plot. And this option over here, this is changing the font size for the label on the main title and on the axes. So if I comment this out, maybe it'll be a little more clear what that does. So when I turn this off, you can see that the labels are kind of small by default. So by setting those to 1.5, this makes both the labels bigger, it made the main title bigger, and it made the values on the axes a little bit bigger. Okay, these are all, cosmetic changes that are subject to whatever you think is nicer, right? So this is a visualization course, and you're creating your own picture here. So you feel free to express yourself through the beauty of histograms, through these various options. And here the COL is my color. My color is steel blue. I would encourage you to choose other colors that you like to choose for the colors of your bars in your histogram. So that's how you can create histograms in base R using the hist function. In the next video, I'll talk about how we can create box plots from a 5-number summary.